of local residents, and we're now being recorded in case anyone didn't hear that. A wide array of local residents, organizations, stakeholders, and elected officials were able to attend this public hearing both in person and online. We're so glad to see you here. The MCSW was legislatively created in 1998 as an independent state agency seeking to advance equality for women across the state and to promote their rights and opportunities. The commission consists of 19 volunteer commissioners who are appointed by the governor, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Caucus of Women's Legislators. The commission represents and recognizes all women, regardless of their age, race, color, creed, abilities, language, socioeconomic status, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender assigned at birth. Together, our purpose is to provide a permanent, effective voice for women throughout Massachusetts. We cannot do this work without all of you. The MCSW seeks your input as we work towards advancing the status of women, both in the Essex County region and across the Commonwealth. After today's event, we'll be circulating a survey, and we hope that you take the opportunity to share both your voice and feedback with us. I'd like to thank the North Shore Community College for hosting us here this evening and their esteemed staff who is helping all of our technical issues and our recording. Thank you very much. I am now going to ask each of my sister commissioners to briefly introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with those to my right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the hearing. My name is Divya Chaturvedi, and I'm a new commissioner at MCSW. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Aisha Miller. I'm Commissioner Vice Chair for the Commission. Thank you all for coming.
Hey folks, I'm Rebecca Bax. I'm the chair of the Program and Planning Committee, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you.
It's Nisha Arena, Commissioner appointed by the Caucus of Women Legislators. Excited to be here with you all this evening.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Meredith Tewitt. I am appointed by the Governor's Office, and I'm out of the Boston area and chair of the Legislative and Public Policy Committee. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Nina Liang. I'm currently the treasurer. I'm an appointee of Speaker Mariano, who's a fellow Quincy resident, and I'm really excited. This is my first hearing, so I'm stoked to see you all here to join me.
Hi, my name is Gamalti Carvalho. I'm Senator candidate Spilka appointee and Legislative and Public Policy Vice Chair.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. I am Danella Clark, and I am the immediate past chair and an appointee of the Governor's Office. So happy you could join us this evening. Thank you.
And I cannot see those online in order from where I'm sitting. Can I ask those commissioners to introduce themselves that are online, please?
Hi, I'm Sonia Shah. I am joined the commission earlier this year, and I'm on the Legislative and Public Policy Committee.
Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you can hear me. My name is Dr. Kimberly Shea. I am a new commissioner appointed by the Women's Caucus, and I am so excited to be here. I'm out in North Central Massachusetts right now, where we are actually getting heavy snow, so a little bit easier than the rain. Thank you.
Dare I say I'm jealous, though I'm from California, so the snow is still novel to me even this many years later. Do we have any other commissioners online? Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rose Costa, and I'm a newly appointed commissioner to the Bristol County Commission on the Status of Women. I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome all of our regional commissioners, Commissioners Emerita, and if we have, and I believe we do, commissioners here from the region, from the Essex region, if you could raise your hands. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So glad that you are here, and we are glad to be here with you in your neck of the woods, so thank you very much. Let's see. Just a few logistics before we get started. We are live streaming this event. If your testimony is of a sensitive nature, or you do not wish to use your name or face, or your information be publicly disclosed, please let any member of the MCSW staff know. If you're in person, you can just flag them. If you're online, their names will be flagged on the Zoom. You can send them a personal message, and we'll make sure that we do everything that we can to make sure that you feel both safe and heard. Additionally, the MCSW makes every effort to accommodate the needs of our participants. If you're joining us virtually and require any additional support, please message MCSW for assistance. Online, I believe we have a Spanish interpreter and an ASL interpreter. We also have a Spanish interpreter live. So you can reach out to any of the staff if you would like interpretation. We'll be moving quickly this evening, so please be sure we have your contact information so we can follow up with you and make sure that we've recorded your testimony accurately. At our last hearing, actually our last two hearings, I quoted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I'd like to do so again tonight because I think the statement continues to crystallize the work that we do in this commission. Justice is about making sure that being polite is not the same thing as being quiet. In fact, oftentimes the most righteous thing you can do is shake the table. So thank you for coming here again to shake the table with us tonight, and welcome. And with that, I will turn it over to my sister commissioner, Rebecca Beck.
Thank you so much. And I don't know if it's been said yet, but this hearing was supposed to happen in March of 2020, and we had to cancel it when COVID just surprised us all. And I'm just so happy that we can be here now in person with those of us able to be, and now that we have experienced COVID with the added benefit of the hybrid ability to attend. So to add to what my sister, Chair Glenn Smith just said, to fulfill our mission, the Commission conducts regional public hearings across the state to collect testimony and opinions on women's issues and concerns. Our public hearings provide a safe and open space for all women in their communities to be heard and share their lived experience and issues that impact their daily lives, and also people who are not women who care about women. We love that too. Any subjects surrounding issues that women face or obstacles that hinder the ability for all women to experience equity are welcome topics. And for this year's reports, we are aiming to collect data and publish reports. We are focusing on survivors of violence as well as issues impacting LGBTQIA+ women. This hearing is a public meeting and an opportunity to be yourself, to find others like you, and to share your story in a way that will positively influence the work that we do on behalf of all women in the Commonwealth. The MCSW works to create change in the lives of women, and your narratives guide our policy and advocacy platform. In the past, our hearings have brought attention to issues such as economic independence and self-sufficiency, domestic violence, and access to education and resources that support women and their families, and more. Testimony gathered at the public hearings directly informs our legislative agenda, and I think it's really useful to decision makers to hear from constituents about what they are going through. Tonight, we will hear from all of you about what issues are important to you and the greater community of Essex County. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes for their public testimony, and I will be attempting to give gentle reminders to make sure that everyone who has joined this evening can be heard. So if you are in the room and you are getting to 3 minutes, I may make a visual wave of my hand to try to encourage you to wrap up. I may need to make an audio interjection for somebody testifying online because they probably won't be able to see me. But we aim to keep that minimal just to make space for everyone to share. This is a hybrid hearing, and so we want to thank those of us joining us on Zoom from all corners of the Commonwealth, and we'll also be hearing, as I just said, some virtual testimony. So afterwards, we encourage all in attendance to share their testimonies with us in writing to inform our work going forward. If we run out of time, please email us, or if you have additional testimony that you have not yet prepared but you would like to offer, we always welcome that online, and I'm sure we'll be sharing an email address where that can be sent at the end of the hearing. So now I will turn it back to Chair Glenn Smith to begin the testimony.
Thank you very much. And with that, we have our first person giving testimony, who I believe is here, Andrea Gale Bennett.
Sarah,
what?
Are you going to have our regional chair do a welcome since we're in her town?
Yes, thank you. Olga, thank you. Olga, would you mind just stepping up, introducing yourself? and kicking us off. Thank you.
This is such a beautiful space to be in tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, my sister commissioners from the state. Thank you, our legislators. I see my favorite legislator. Thank you for being here tonight. It is such an honor that we get to host this public meeting in our turf. My name is Agar Winnie Okoye. I am the chairperson here in Essex County Commission on the Status of Women. And what we've tried to do in the last couple of years is to make sure that every woman and every girl in Essex County gets a voice, and that that voice is translated to palpable policies and legislations, because ultimately it shapes the lives of all of us. And I just want to welcome everyone in this space. And I want to say to everyone who will be giving testimony tonight, we see you, we appreciate you, and we thank you for your courage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is my first time in Lynn, and I have not been welcomed so warmly, I think, ever. So I really, truly appreciate it. And this is all volunteer work, so we all know what goes into that. So your work is recognized and greatly appreciated to stand in solidarity with you. And that is a great way to kick off our first person testifying. Andrea Gale Bennett. Are you online, in person? Online? Andrea? All right, why don't we go ahead and go to the next person. Andrea, when you're ready, go ahead and flag one of the staff members and I'll skip right back to you. Thanks so much. Diana Georges? While we wait, we clearly are having some technical issues. In the meantime, Senator Lovely, I know that you're used to being put on the spot. Would you mind if I do that right now and have you introduce yourself? I did not see you come in. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Joan Lovely, the state senator for the 2nd Essex, Beverly, Danvers, Peabody, Salem, in the great county of Essex. I'm so glad to see the Essex County Commission on the Status of Women represented here this evening. And I just want to say thank you for, also say thank you for hosting this in so close to my district, but in this section of the Commonwealth as well. And another thank you for the work you do, the amazing work you do. I've had the great honor to be the Senate co-chair of the Women's Caucus in the State House, and proud to be able to do that again this coming session. So I want to work very closely with all of you and continue to engage, particularly Essex County, but the entire commission on the work you do to improve the lives of women and girls all across the Commonwealth. So happy to be here. Thank you for being here, and look forward to working with you over the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much. With that, I will maybe call our first person to testify. Should we try Diana? Did not. Okay.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Sean from Senator Crichton's office. Sean, I just wanted to acknowledge you were here on behalf of the chair. She didn't notice you. So
you know what? Let me do that. Thank you for doing that. I'm not only new to being the chair, but I'm also new to the state of Massachusetts. I don't know what anybody looks like, and I have a list of people that maybe were going to come. If anybody works for the government, can you please stand up, acknowledge yourself, and let us thank you for being here. Your work is tireless. It is never 9 to 5, and for you to come out here in the evenings is greatly appreciated. And my lack of knowing what you guys look like is not a reflection on the entire commission. So thank you for the grace. Thank you for coming. Your face turned red and it should be mine. Is there anybody else I missed? Like, can I just be super transparent? Thank you. Someone who can see online, can you tell me who's going to testify next? This is awesome. Once people start testifying, I promise you, it's mind-blowing. 1, 2, 3, who? Renee? Renee, would you like to kick us off? Can be online or in person, we'll all be surprised. Rania?
Yes, I wasn't sure if you were saying Rania.
I wasn't. I said I am now, though.
Okay.
Thank you and welcome.
Sure. Hello, my name is Rania. It's pronounced like Tanya, but with an R. And I'm with massfamilies.org. A few of us are on the call today. I come here as a single mom, a woman of color, and one of the leaders of Mass Families. The majority of our constituents are women, I would say like at minimum 95%, because we all support loved ones who have intellectual and developmental disabilities or complex medical needs. And when you have someone like that in your life, not only is it a great blessing, but it's also a lifetime of caring. It doesn't end when they become adults. It continues, and in fact, you get less support the older that they get. I'm calling to talk about what's important to us as a majority woman organization. I know every day personally, I have a 10-year-old son. I'm constantly fighting to keep him home with me and not taken to a residential home. It's very, very difficult. And the only way I can keep him home is with supports like ABA, which is applied behavioral analysis, which currently coverage for that through insurance ends when they become adults. I really get worried about that because, again, that might mean my son cannot live at home with me. And at the end of the day, it benefits not only families, but the state as well, because it costs more to take a child from their home or an adult child from their home and staff them 24 hours a day. I'm getting a little, it's very personal for me, so it's hard to talk about. But other things that are important is the workforce crisis. Even when we do get funding, it's hard to find someone to help support us. Like most of my constituents, my son needs help with every single life activity, whether it's using the toilet, eating, everything. So you can imagine the amount of added pressures and stresses for the women that we that are part of our organization. And yeah, the other things that are important to us is paying caregivers, because we spend an awful lot of time caring for them, and many of our constituents can't even hold the job, especially if you have a complex medical kid where you're constantly taking them to appointments. And expanding the abuser registry. For example, my son, like many of the children that we care for, is nonverbal and is unable to communicate. I really worry about leaving him with someone alone, because he could never tell me if something happened to him. So yeah, that's it. I don't know if that was 3 minutes, but I'm sure my colleagues will be more eloquent than I was. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Next, I'd like to call Lori Medeiros.
Hi, good evening. I just started my own stopwatch for 3 minutes, so I'm going to be looking at that and staying within the 3. So my name is Lori Medeiros, and I am the Metro Regional Coordinator for Mass Families Organizing for Change and an executive board member. And I just did want to give a little shout out to Senator Joan Lovely. Senator Joan Lovely has been a friend of the disability community the entire time that she has served the Commonwealth. and we are forever grateful of her never-ending support. So one of the things that I wanted to say that tonight is that Mass families and all of our constituents and board members truly believe that every single person can have an enviable life, no matter how much their condition impacts them. However, they might just need some support in order to have that. I want for my 30-year-old daughter, Ashley, just what I want for my other children who are not impacted by a condition. I want her to have love and friendship and safety. I don't want her to be lonely. I don't want her to be impoverished. I want her to always have good providers and healthcare. I want her to always have access to clothes and dentists and professional providers, which is exactly what we want for all of our children, ourselves, our parents, our grandparents. So in some ways, we are exactly like many other women. We care about those that we love, and we want for them just what we want for everyone else. Our organization focuses on helping families create a vision for a great life, and the advocacy tools and the knowledge about how to advocate that and how to influence funding streams and policies. We are frequent flyers at the State House, know all of our state representatives and senators by name, and giving testimony is a frequent thing and quite an honor. We appreciate this commission right here, and we're so proud and happy to be here with you. And I think that I would just ask that in your formulation of bringing data back, I would ask that you include families who are raising loved ones who will need support over their entire lifespan. And just to let you know one little side, and I'm sure this isn't surprising to you, the last survey was about 75% of women raising individuals with lifelong high needs or complex medical health care needs are not in the workforce full time. That's my 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call Andrea Antidorm. Lisa Sims.
Hi, my name is Lisa A. Sims, and I'm sorry that I'm not, showing you my picture, but it's better for me this way. First, I want to start by saying I had a stroke 10.5 years ago, so I hope I don't confuse you too much. This is my first time being at one of these meetings, and I hope it's not my last. I am a new member of Mass Families, and I have 2 adult children with special abilities. And the reason why I'm calling, as a single parent of adult children with special abilities of color, I am, and I have a disability of my own. I'm coming from like a different angle. Like, once your kids are out of school, you don't get those resources that are there. So when they graduate from school, they come out to the world and it's just them and me. And I feel like I'm not, on top of everything because I have a compromised brain right now. And I should have wrote this down, but of course I didn't. But one of the biggest things problems I have is I can't find resources. And it's not only that I don't have resources, the knowledge, I'm not technology savvy. So there's all kind of barriers for me. And we live in a world right now that everybody thinks that everybody can get on computers and find things. And that isn't the case. And also, because both my kids are what they determine as high functioning, it's like you're put in a whole different category. You say high functioning, but what does that actually mean if your child's not sociable? And then we go through this thing they call a pandemic, which no one ever heard of before. And so everything's topsy-turvy, and there's not people in this the buildings to service us, and we hear about, oh, we're short, understaffed and all this kind of stuff. That's what they say on their side. But me being on the needing help side, you can only hear that so much before you just feel so broken. And I come before you right now as a broken person. I'm trying to navigate two lives so that when I'm no longer here, they can step up on their own. And it's just really, really hard. And I just wish that people will just understand that, you know, everybody out here, you know, there's a lot of mothers, all mothers are out here doing stuff like that. But some of us have it extremely hard. And it's not like I'm complaining. I'm just asking if people can just be a little more generous with, you know, services or getting the word out so I can know where it is and stuff like that to help me, because I just want to be just like each and every other woman out here, not struggling as hard as I do. And I'm sorry if this is kind of all over the place, but that's how my life is. You know, this is me. This is who you see. It's all over the place. And I'm caring for two, you know, adult children with special abilities. And I have my own. So I don't even know if that even makes sense. But, you know, hopefully that was under 3 minutes. I thank you all for just listening.
Thank you very much. Sarah Stanley. And for those of us online, if you get as close to the mic as you can, I'd appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Stanley. I'm one of the regional commissioners for Essex County. I'm so proud to be here, not on purpose, but outfit coordinating with my colleagues from Hawk, Healing Abuse, Working for Change. I love it. We do not have a uniform. I am here in my role as executive director at Hawk. We provide support and services to individuals that are experiencing domestic violence here in Essex County. We serve over 2,000 individuals in the past year. And I want to ask you to prioritize both upstream initiatives and some downstream initiatives. First, I'd like to talk to you about the Common Start bill. I know that was one of your priorities, and I'd urge you to fight on for Common Start. So many women in particular who are experiencing domestic violence stay in abusive relationships because of the lack of childcare. Free or reduced rate, high quality childcare will mean the difference of leaving or staying in an unhealthy relationship for a lot of people. Next, I'd like to talk to you about CORI reform. Last session, legislation was filed, an act supporting survivors of trafficking and abuse and encouraging increased access to opportunities through expungement and or sealing of records. Might need a catchier title, but that's the title. My understanding is that bill will be refiled this year, or this session, I'm sorry, and we hope that it can be supported by the commission. It's really important that survivors have this opportunity to clear their record when they've, it's been acquired through or because of domestic violence. Likewise, technical assistance is needed in the community. That relief is no good if no one knows about it or no one knows how to go about securing that relief. So we would ask that if either the current law or a modified law include funding for technical assistance in the communities. And lastly, I'd like to talk to you about prevention education. Agencies like HAWK do our best every single day, but we're never going to improve things if we don't have prevention education for young people. And in particular, I'd like to focus on young mothers, obviously youth, but then additional programming for young mothers is where we're going to see a lot of opportunity for changes and interrupting the cycle of violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have Diana Georges.
Yes, sorry, could I just have a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go on to the next person. Just please flag them when you're ready. No problem at all. Sol Maria De Leon. All right. Next, we're going to go with, how about Jacqueline Fitzhugh?
Good evening.
Good evening.
And I am here as a mom and just a regular community member. And one of the things that I'd like to talk about as for women is childcare. I have a daughter who has recently had a child, and she has a well-paying job, and yet and still childcare is taking up at least a third of her salary, not to mention her mortgage. As a mom, I had 4 kids. When I got to kid number 2, I had to quit working because I was not making enough money to pay for childcare. By the time I paid for childcare, I would have been bringing home $2 an hour. I am not advocating for underpaid childcare workers. I think that they deserve to be paid a living wage. I think that it is ridiculous that corporations want women in the workforce, but they are not willing to carry some of the weight of the child care. And I think that it's too far down the road for this to still be an issue. Women are more than 50% of the population in the workforce, and this is an issue that should have been addressed a long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dawn Thompson.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, great. Okay. I am here on behalf of the Loft Office, Worcester Anti-Foreclosure Team.
After being threatened with foreclosure, I sold my home. Several months after the sale, I contacted the Worcester Anti-Foreclosure Team office. Through joint efforts, we discovered gender identification and labeling on both my mortgage and assignment, along with numerous other violations, such as the CARES Act moratorium. The WAFT office granted me permission to access their office files. I began gathering evidence related to gender discrimination, gender identification, and labeling of women on mortgages and related documents. Of the 145 foreclosure files reviewed, gender identification on mortgages occurred 38 times, accounting for 26.21% of the total. This percentage includes 22 files whose mortgage information was not found in the masslandrecords.com database. The percentage of illegal gender labeling increases to 30.9% of occurrences when adjusted by removing the 22 instances when the mortgage was not found. There are an additional 9 counts of gender identification on mortgage assignments occurring 7% of the time. Women were identified in 37 out of 38 total occurrences of gender labeling, accounting for a total of 97.36% of gender identification. 46 years after the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was amended, gender labeling continues, with the most recent gender labeling found on January 31st, 2022, and my search has only just begun. To date in Worcester County, I have found 88 occurrences of illegal gender labeling of women on mortgages and 16 instances on the corresponding assignments. My research and data documenting uses the masslandrecords.com database. I estimate an additional 4 months will be necessary to gather an appropriate sample size. Of immediate concern is gender identification on legal documents in the mortgage lending industry. Gender labeling has occurred on both mortgages and assignments. Among other concerns are the CARES Act moratorium violations, marital status identifiers such as husband or wife, which allude to gender and have potential to be used to discriminate against same-sex couples, predatory lending, and subprime loans, to name a few. Women and people of color are more likely than married or single white men to have their home as their primary asset and their primary vehicle to build and maintain wealth. I urge everyone listening, and I hope I haven't taken too much time, but please review your mortgage and assignments on masslandrecords.com or read the hard copy. If you are labeled as a woman or man in either, please contact the WAFT office in Worcester. I also urge the Commission to investigate these unconscionable acts. Further, I respectfully request the Commission to choose gender identification and labeling as a special focus of a future hearing and to advocate with the WAFT office against this discriminatory practice in the upcoming year. It has been mind-blowing to see what I have seen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are stats that I'm sure are new to a lot of us. I do hope that anyone that's comfortable, particularly if you're using numbers, if you'd be willing to send that to us via email to make sure that we capture all of the information that you're sharing.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Next, I'd like to call Sherry Stanley.
Hi, I'm Sherry Stanley. I'm here on behalf of WAFT. I am a head staff leader and also a member, and I am a victim of what Dawn was just talking about. I have a history of getting away from a abusive marriage, and I got granted my home because of that. I was almost murdered by my ex-husband. I'm a single mom of 5 children, and my home is my only protection. The title was given to me in probate, and the bank would not give me a loan mod. They ignored me to get the mortgage for my home. So I went into foreclosure, and I've been fighting since. And during the moratorium of COVID, they sold my home to a third-time buyer online without me knowing. And this has happened to several women. And I'm still fighting, and when I go to court, I get the same treatment. I'm a woman with 4 daughters, and we get treated like we have no voice. We get taken advantage of. And I feel like us women need protection in our for our children and ourselves. Our home is our main protection. And it's not fair how we're getting taken advantage of and removed from our family homes that we've lived in all our children's lives. And it's inhuman to me that this is allowed and going on, and it needs to be investigated why it's happening. And I'm sure a lot of women can relate to abuse and not having anywhere to turn when you're alone and your house is your only safety net. And I just want to thank you for having us women come together for this.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Adriana Paz. Okay. Gary Gill.
Good evening, Commission and Madam Chair. As I sit here and I listen to everything so far, it's true because I work in a grocery store as a cashier. I see every day single women on the streets, from Lynn actually, living in Salem in the shelter right now. Some have kids, some don't. The ones that can't get in the shelter with their children, I see one lady on the North River every day now. She has everything she has in a little red wagon, and a little boy following behind her every day. They can't find a place to live. The apartments in the greater Boston and all over are going through the same situations of affordability. Even when they say, our city servants say that they fought for it, they didn't fight hard enough. Because now we're in a situation where rents are up to $2,500 a month, and I can testify to that myself. In the matter of 3 years, my rent in a new building has went up from $19.95 with paying all the bills, pet bills, and a parking space that should be allowed. Parking should be a part of the whole situation anyway. But the second year, it went up to $2,375 in 1 year. I just got my new lease for February, and it's $2,500. And I'm on a voucher. I got the job so I can have extra money to feed my cats and myself. But if you come to my house and look in my refrigerator, there's nothing there. I eat when I'm hungry. And I see that every day with every one of these girls that come into the cash register and talk to me and lean on my shoulders because they know who I am in my community. As Joan Lovely is here tonight because I sent her this invitation for this tonight. She can testify of who I am and what I can do for people in my community and what I have done for people in my community. The thing I'm seeing now breaks my heart because the little boy and his mother that I see every day when I'm living in a building, and they're right there. I went up and talked to her. She's hanging in there. She's got a really good attitude. We had another couple situations on the backside of Town Hall of a black couple and a white couple together roughing it out to the point where they finally got an apartment. They were there all summer long, all last year, all during COVID, just the two of them in love, helping each other out through life. But the situations that I see every day and the things that I hear at the cash register when the girls come in, 3 of the girls are really cool, 1 Spanish, 2 are black, and they're telling me every day what they're doing now. One of them got accepted as a job, one of them got a job, one of them got accepted to school, and in the meantime, 2 of them got studios because I told them about something in Salem that was for the Spanish community, and the mission doesn't share that information because it's Spanish. So when I started talking to these girls, I sent them over there and they got help right away. But the networking with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and all these nonprofit organizations need to really listen to each other and help each other out. There shouldn't be like the phone call of the lady saying that she gets the runaround. It's very frustrating. And when you're at home and you're in need of a lot of services and stuff and you get turned down over and over again, it's very depressing. And that's where the depression comes in. That's where the discrimination comes in. And it also covers transgenders as well. I got an award in 2015, a Martin Luther King Social Justice Drum Major Human Rights Award, and Joan was there. I told myself, if I do anything to represent that, I would speak up on behalf of anybody for anything. And this to me is the closest to my heart because I know what my mother went through to bring up 8 kids on her own. And literally the last 4 years of her life before I saw her pass away, she was living in the back of a truck that she used to unload and sleep in at night with a boyfriend that she had because she divorced my father because of the alcohol, the abuse that all of us kids got. But she hung in there, and I was there with her at the end. But my mother, and the mother that I see every day with this kid, just breaks my heart. And there's more than just that, and you're all aware of it. The abuse, the alcohol, the men that think they can control women. I hate that. So as far as networking, money and situations and services, everybody needs to get on the same line and stop all the BS and really put your public service into play and listen to these stories and listen to these heartaches. And if there's availability for housing and rent control, this is the year to get it done because now we got new women in the office. And I call it girl power because one of those women is somebody that I dearly love myself, Kim, and Maura Healy. So there's 3 women that are going to make a difference in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And one of them is also right here with us. She's always been on my side. So that's what I wanted to say, but I also have one other thing to say. In regards to kids and adults that are kids in handicapped situations and wheelchairs and things like that, there needs to be a different division for that, where as they get older, the mother's getting older. I know a situation right now. The mother's getting older, the son's getting older, and she can't do what she used to do anymore. And she's having a very hard time finding an adult situation setting for him to go into. Her back's all messed up, and she can't do it anymore. So I hope what I said you heard, and I hope that you can help. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Ann Vaughn.
Hi. Put my headphones on. Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. At first I wanted to applaud the speakers that have come before me. It really takes a lot of bravery to share some of those stories and genuine hardships.
And I'm sorry, I want to make sure that we're really hearing everything that you say, and it's a little bit muffled on our end. Would you mind speaking up just a little bit? Are you putting your mouth closer to where you're going?
Is that better?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to first thank the speakers before me because I know it takes a lot of bravery to share some of those stories and the hardships that we all know exist. And as someone who's, this is my first time joining this commission meeting, so I appreciate all that, the volunteers that put this together. I just wanted to add, from my own personal point of view, I really feel for the mothers with children and then adult children that are disabled. I take care of my mother-in-law who has Alzheimer's. And I feel over the past 3 to 5 years that I've seen some of what you have to deal with firsthand. So I guess I wanted to add to the request for visibility for all of the family members that are keeping family members of theirs at home and trying to care for them with Alzheimer's and dementia. It's heartbreaking, it's hard work, and it's done with love. And there's just not a lot of support for the families. I found, especially if you're just above a certain level. So I wanted to speak to that because I know I'm not alone in that situation. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Marie Hansen, who I believe is here.
It's about treatment in psychiatric residentials. As a person who has been in one, I was always felt like I was treated like I wasn't even a person. I didn't really exist to them, and I only did when it was necessary. When my mom was trying to check in on me, DCF was trying to check in on me, anything like that. That was the only time I really existed, in my mind at least. And when I did not exist to them, it was a whole different world. It would be either something like, maybe something like I couldn't eat because they didn't think I would need to eat. Or maybe something like I wouldn't receive care and something that I need. Maybe I got cut or something, or I need a Band-Aid, some sort of medication, something like that. I didn't feel like I really existed in those moments because it didn't feel human. It didn't feel like a way that a person should be treated no matter what they've done in life, what they say in life, what anything like that. And I just think it's not right, and it really needs to be changed. And it could really, something like that can really affect someone's well-being, either physically, mentally. I could definitely attest to that because it's definitely changed my life in ways that are both negative and positive. I only say positive because personally it made me stronger. And I think it's really important that those things get fixed. Another thing I would like to talk about is people who are homeless. I was homeless for a little bit, and I think it's really important that as much as people talk about it, there's a lot of things that don't get changed. For example, housing situations. There's places that you pay rent, but you only pay either 30%, or if you don't have income, you don't pay anything. But those places, in my opinion at least, are one of the most dangerous places to be. It is filled with people who are either using or going through a lot in their own lives, and they don't really know how to express that, whether it's being violent or saying things that are very not helpful to a lot of other people's situations. Maybe they don't even know how to take care of themselves, whether it be physically, mentally, anything, spiritually. I think two of those things, psychiatric residentials and homelessness, really needs to be fixed. And getting the help for those two populations are really, really helpful for a lot of people. I think it really helps me because to think about getting help for those two populations, because I was a part of both populations. And in my opinion, I feel like they're both connected to me because they both have grown, they helped me grow, and they've helped me be the person I am today, for me to be able to talk about this. I'm only 18, and you don't see a lot of 18-year-olds on this stage or any stage talking about any problems in life. And it's not just I'm 18, I'm also Black, and you do not see that enough. And although there are a lot of people who are Black that talk about these situations and situations in general that are important, you don't see that enough. And I really think it's helpful to talk about this in any way possible. So yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. You opened your testimony by saying you didn't feel seen. Well, you're seen tonight. So thank you for being brave and coming up to testify. We do have a few minutes left. I want to make sure I called some names that didn't show up right away. If I missed anyone and you had planned to testify or would like to, if you could flag me now, that would be great. Please.
Hi, everyone. Good night. Thank you for letting me speak. Actually, when I signed in, they asked if you were going to testify. I was like, unsure, but here I am. So my name is Faustina Cuevas. I am a born and raised Lynner, and what I want to bring forward to the commission has something to do with me personally and my lived experience and stories. Growing up in an immigrant household where the main language was Spanish, I, at a very young age, had to grow up quickly. And I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but thank you. I had to grow up very quickly and be my mom's interpreter. Lord, sorry. Thank you. I blame you. I blame you. I blame you. You were like, come testify tonight. At a young age, I had to be my mom's interpreter. Having to be an interpreter at a very young age exposes you to things that are really hard to come to terms with. Being at the welfare line, having to translate for your mom at the welfare line, having to talk to doctors and things. It really, no child should really have to do that. No child should have to go through that. And I think that that's why I wanted to bring forth tonight awareness of the language access bill that has been reported favorably at the state level, but we really have a lot of work to do. Language access is an important thing because all the testimonies I hear this evening, there's a thread of that in everything I hear, right? If people are not educated, if they're not understanding the information in their native language, how else are they going to advocate for themselves? How else are they going to ask the questions that they need to ask? How else do they need to know where they need to go? Who are the resources? Who are the people that can make the changes? Language access is something I'm really passionate about because, as you saw, right, clearly an emotional wreck about it. So I just want to bring awareness to these acts that are at the State House, Bill H.4872 and Bill S.2929. This Language Access and Inclusion Act would ensure that state agencies effectively communicate with a diverse Commonwealth. They would standardize and enforce robust language access plans. They would ensure adequate staffing to meet language access needs, and they would create a stakeholder advisory board to assist state agencies with compliance. So Thank you for listening. Thank you for the commission tonight for making sure that there is language capacity, language access. I think that that's a really critical thing. But I think we need to take it to the next level so that people actually show up who need those services. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I think I saw someone else ready. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole McLean, and I am addressing you as well. Thank you for having us tonight. Thank you for coming to Lynn and setting this all up. I am also a part of the Essex County Commission on the Status of Women. I'm one of the commissioners, and I'm addressing the panel today as a early educator. I have worked in early education for over 15 years, and through my journey, I have learned a lot about professionalizing this this career and making sure that affordable education and early education is given to our community. I had a early education business out of my home. It was forced to close. I was taking care of 10 children, and there was families that were left without childcare. Not to villainize the Department of Early Education and Care, but those children and those families were not given an alternative to my early education business. And it was just really sad to see them scrambling and trying to find a place for their children to go that was affordable. Of course, I wasn't trying to break anyone's pocket. I was making sure that I was, pricing my services at a reasonable rate. And those families really did just fell to the wayside. They wrote a lot of letters on my behalf to make sure that my business didn't close, but that did not help. And I still had to go through the magistrate. I had to go through all these different things, and I'm fighting to keep the doors open. But in the end, it didn't work out. And Lynn is a childcare desert. There isn't a lot that is available in our city. And if it is available, there's a long waiting list. And these parents are just not having these services available to them. So I'm really advocating for the Common Start bill that I know you guys are already advocating for as the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. I know that's on the table with this organization, but I really would like to see more things being done for the early educators themselves as far as professionalizing the career path, and also helping us to open more childcare services in our city as in on the North Shore. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call Diana Georges.
Yes, hello, everybody. First off, just thank you to everybody who went before. I learned so much from just hearing all of your stories. And to the person who was just speaking about language access, I can't tell you how excited I was to hear you. Personally, I'm also the child of immigrants, and I acted as my parents' interpreter for a long time. But professionally, I'm part of the steering committee that is organizing the coalition around the Language Access and Inclusion Bill. And I wasn't even planning on talking about that tonight, so I am so excited that you brought that up. I'm going to share in the chat a sign up if anybody would be part of that coalition, and I'm not sure how we can connect that Zoom to the people in the crowd, but I will leave that in the hands of our tech people. But what I'm here to talk about today is, so I work for the Massachusetts Appleseed Center for Law and Justice, and we're a nonprofit that tries to promote access to justice through research, collaboration, and advocacy. One of our policy areas is educational justice, specifically dismantling the school to prison pipeline. In 2020, we did a report and we found that girls of color in Massachusetts are 3.9 times more likely to be subjugated to exclusionary discipline. That means suspensions, expulsions, and referrals to law enforcement than their white counterparts. And the conversation around the school to prison pipeline traditionally is had around boys of color, specifically Black boys, but our report wanted to look at the intersectionality of gender and race. And then our latest report, titled "I Just Want to Learn: Girls of Color in the School to Prison Pipeline in Massachusetts," examined the experiences of girls going beyond the data to get their stories and what it's actually like for them to be over-policed and pushed out of the classroom. part of our report, we offer recommendations for the school level, the state level, the DESE level, and the district level to be able to enact positive change. And we're trying now to work with districts and schools across Massachusetts to move towards restorative justice and alternative forms of discipline that keep students in classroom and address the complex issue of discipline holistically, and realize that the purpose of public education is to liberate all students, not to push them out, keep them in poverty, and continue systems of oppression. So I can share my email, or you can find us via Google, Massachusetts Appleseed, if anybody would like to bring this work, or we can present on our report to your schools, your school committees, your districts, anyone. We would love to talk more about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that's an excellent segue to remind everyone that we do post these live on our state site, and we also do we gather all of these shared stories not only for our legislators to make a difference, but we also summarize them and distribute them to the community. So those are available, including links that you share, et cetera. So all of those things, you'll see your bills advocated for us through legislative and public policy, and then all of these themes are gathered and disseminated. So please share everything that you can, particularly if you had data, so that we can make sure that all of that is included in the reports. With that, is there anyone else that I missed that would like to testify, either in person or online? Please do. No, you don't have to sign up, including if you didn't sign up. We still have a little bit of time.
In fact, I think when I registered, I said I wouldn't testify.
Well, we're happy to have convinced you otherwise, so please do.
My name is Ross Steinborn. I am the program director at the YWCA North Shore Rape Crisis Center here in Lynn, and we serve the entire North Shore. So I want to reiterate a lot of what Sarah had mentioned. I do want to note that I think one of the places we see some concern is in getting long-term psychiatric care. We are a stopgap. We offer short-term, non-therapeutic, empowerment-based counseling, but we're in no way equipped to work long-term with folks, with survivors of sexual violence. And that's especially true for our younger survivors. So we work with 12 and up, and we're seeing a lot more middle school, a lot more 12, 13, 14-year-olds. And it's really hard to find services from them often on an ongoing basis. The other thing I wanted to mention, and just throw support behind too, is we also do prevention education in schools and a lot of the high schools in the area. I'm actually going to Marblehead tomorrow morning. And so when we were updating that curriculum, I started to do a bunch of research around sexting and wanted to give the students the best information around consent for sexting that we could. And I, in that research, realized that Massachusetts is one of the only states that doesn't legalize, or that doesn't make revenge porn illegal. And I know that was up and failed in this last session, but it is something that I hope that bill gets rewritten and gets another chance. So, and that's all. I'll end there.
Thank you. Thank you. Sol Maria? Just message me on the chat. Sol Maria? Just message me. You're muted if you're testifying.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
No, thank you, I'm glad to hear.
Okay, I am so sorry. My Zoom decided to log me out. So, and I am struggling with my video. So I'm just gonna go on without video, if that's okay.
Of course.
Thank you everybody for the opportunity to share my story. I've just been listening to everyone, and it's just like very informational and also very inspirational. So I appreciate everyone for sharing their stories, and the commission for having this meeting. So like I said, my name is Sol Maria, and I am a Salem resident. I have 3 children, 2 of whom are special needs children. And I'm addressing the panel today as a single mother and someone who loves her community. I wanted to specifically talk about, you know, I know it's a housing crisis statewide, right? There's just, you know, unhoused people need more resources, and it's just so much I can say, but I'll focus on this. So gentrification has been hitting Salem pretty hard for the past, like, I want to say 10 years or so. Just based on what I've noticed, I've grown up in Salem. I was born and raised here. And a huge problem for us has been overdevelopment. And, you know, they typically have meetings. They always have meetings when during the planning process. And I've attended some of them, and some of them I haven't been able to, because like I said, I have children, so I can't always make it. And I've also kept in touch with other people, and some of these meetings are very long for, you know, the housing planning and development stuff for Salem. And they don't always allow people to really share, you know what I mean? Like offer their insight and just fact-based information, right? Regarding wetlands, floodplains. I mean, there's at least 10 different places that are planning to be built on, possibly more. That's one issue. Another issue is the current, some of the current subsidized housing that we do have is Fort Lee Terrace is one, for example. And I think that one is being worked with, but there was some mention of privatizing a housing development, right? Which is confusing for me because, you know, one would think that it's public housing, right? It should be accessible for everyone. There shouldn't be any involvement with, you know, people trying to essentially take something that was meant for, you know, low income people, elderly, you know, people on fixed incomes, special needs, anyone who needs it, right? So that's one thing. And then another is also the neighborhood that I grew up in. It's been kind of like sort of a behind the scenes thing. And I hope I don't get any backlash for this, but it's mainly a concern for me because I grew up in this neighborhood. The name of the neighborhood is called Rainbow Terrace. And it is a neighborhood for low income families and veterans. A couple years back, they actually took out the playground, which I thought was strange because, you know, children deserve a safe place to play. That was a huge issue that I haven't seen any plans towards, you know, creating another safe space for them to play and, you know, that sort of thing. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, when these developments happen and all these changes occur, I'm not sure if, you know, people such as myself, like I'm an alumna of North Shore Community College. I just graduated last year. And, you know, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm getting there, you know? And even for someone such as myself, I work full time, but I have a Section 8 voucher. And it's very disheartening to see these new places kind of pop up and, you know, they'll have like 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms. And then they'll say, oh, it's affordable housing. Well, affordable for who, you know? And also too, if it's a 1 bedroom or a 2 bedroom, someone such as myself who has, you know, 3 children, or if it's maybe a parent or caregiver who has maybe children with, you know, a boy and a girl or non-binary or whatever the case may be, they're automatically not eligible to apply to these places. So it just puts us in a position. And to me, in my understanding, based on what I know about real estate, I would consider that to be a form of discrimination based on familial status. That would make, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of like disconnect there. And it's just like who, you know, I understand that there is, again, a housing crisis. People need homes, people need places to live, but why? I just feel like it's not, like the voices of the people who need housing the most are not being listened to. And that's pretty much what I had to say today. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Since I have the camera on me, and since I have the commission here, I'm going to tell you what's going on in Salem. They're not abiding by the open policy law at all. They don't want to have any public input whatsoever until the last day of the discussions or the last meeting that they will put on the calendar. So I know the lady who wrote the commission, who wrote that open law ordinance. I told her 4 years ago when we were going through the process of cannabis in the city, they didn't want to have any input. They want to keep everything secret. I told her about it. She said if they keep doing it, they could lose their jobs. The city council people in particular is who I'm talking about. So if they don't do that now with housing, they're repeating the same thing 4 years ago that they were trying to do with the marijuana business. They want everything secret. They don't want to tell you the details, especially when it comes down to the numbers and the money on the building that she's talking about, which is Fort Lee Terrace. I went to that meeting the other night and spoke up because they're not doing the open meeting ordinance law. Public comment. You have to have public comment, just like you guys are doing tonight. How can they move a city forward with not input? Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to thank everyone that had the courage to speak and share your stories with us. I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Dr. Miller to close us off.
Thank you. On behalf of our chairwoman, Sarah Glenn Smith, and the entire Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, we would like to thank all of you for being here this evening. We are excited because this is our first in-person hearing for 2023, and what a way to kind of kick it off. While we have issues we are facing are multiple together, we can tackle them all. We invite you to share your testimony with us in writing to inform our 2023 legislative priorities and future data reports on these critical issues. We value your input, and we would be grateful if you would take our brief exit survey. Physical surveys are available in the back, or you can scan the QR code upon you leaving and do it on your phone. We'll be also sharing the link in the chat for those who are virtual with a follow-up email. Please make sure you stay involved and plugged into the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. Join our newsletters, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and join us for any of our upcoming events. Starting with May 31st, 2023, our Advocacy Day at the Massachusetts State House. June 22nd, 2023, we are excited to have our 25th anniversary celebration. And June 23rd, 2023, our Commonwealth Heroines. Again, please join either one of our social media outlets. You can sign up with Shalea in the back. She's raising her hand, just to join our newsletter and et cetera. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those who are virtual. And again, on behalf of our chairwoman and the commission, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you to our sign language interpreters as well. I know we keep you busy. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.